Hi there, YouTube, Mark Vergeer here with an update on Forza Horizon 3. I actually managed to get it up and running, doing exactly the same thing on a system with 3 monitors as I did on my game room PC, which just has one main monitor, a 1080p display. And my previous video showed the game failing. I have no idea why, and I expected it to fail my 3 monitor system as well. But it worked. It worked actually quite flawless. Somewhat flawless. It was nagging a bit about resolution and stuff, so yeah, I'm using it, I'm playing it in surround, 3-screen surround. But what is very interesting is the fact that I actually have 2 pretty much identical systems. These are the, let me see, this is the motherboard. This is the motherboard that I have in both of my systems. A Gigabyte B85M HD3R4, which is a 4th generation Core LGA 1150 socket motherboard. Exactly the same motherboard. Both systems actually have the exact same amount of RAM. Actually, the same RAM. I believe it's the ballistic. I'm not sure. It's the ballistic gaming, low latency, super DDR3 RAM. So yeah, both motherboards work great. Have no issues with other games. So what gives? In both motherboards, there's actually these 2 processors. It's the 4790K, which is the unlocked processor that runs at 4.4 gigahertz, boost clocked, and it just does 4, regular mode. This processor is also, it's the 4790, which runs at 3.6 standard, but can boost clock to 4. I have a big whopping cooler on both systems. It's the Cryorig C1, which is so good that basically it keeps the processors very cool, about 23, maximum 37 Celsius. So pretty much the boost clock is on all the time. Now the only difference, and both systems actually have a wired 360 controller. And actually the only difference is that one system is running a 64-byte version of Windows Home, and one is running a 64-bit Windows 10 version of Pro. Both are actually the anniversary updates, and on the 3-monitor system I've hooked up the GeForce GTX 1070 Strix. And in the game room, just with the 1 monitor, 1 TV, I actually have put the GTX 1060. The 1060 has 6 gigabytes of RAM, and the 1070 has 8 gigabytes of RAM. But that's the only difference, actually. And what just is mind-boggling is that on such a system, with running the same virus scanner, the same software, actually the same drivers, everything is the same, even the webcam is the same. The only difference actually also is that on the other system there's actually 2 wired Xbox 360 controllers hooked up. The game does hang on profiling. When it profiles, you can do the settings and stuff. It does hang after it's initializing. And there are some graphical errors actually present, so I think it's a video driver issue that is causing this. I think, I'm not sure, but now let me show you some footage. Open broadcasting software, Open Broadcaster software. It doesn't allow grabbing of the DirectX 12 window or game. It doesn't show the game. But it did allow me to grab the screen from the screen. So yeah, at 60 frames per second. So The game actually is locked to 30 frames per second because I just wanted to have a solid experience, and I was afraid that if I set it to 60 I might run into some problems. It's actually the default frame rate even. So the only thing I did was update the resolution to the full resolution of the monitors, which is 5000 something by 1050. Bloody hell! I can come up with the numbers if you want. It's not a 1080p, but it's the let me see, configure. Whoops. Resolution. Oh. It's 5040 by 1050, and I can actually do a bezel correction. Then some of the bezels in between, you can actually have that removed and let the bezels of the screen, if you put them next to each other, you can have that overlay the game, so you don't get any deformations and stuff. The reason why I'm running this in 3 screens, actually the reason for me getting Forza 3, because it runs great on 3 screens or ultra wide. The menus, the heads-up display, everything works great with widescreen gaming. So yeah, let me show you a clip. I wasn't able to grab the sound, so I'll just do a voiceover and perhaps put some of my own music underneath, and you'll just see how it runs. And probably because Open Broadcaster software is not optimized for DirectX 12 yet, I believe, it may not be the best footage, and it's very, squashed together because it's really ultra wide. But it'll give you an impression of how it runs on 3 screens. And yeah, it will not show you. And I could do it with my spherical video thing, with the Theta S, but you just have to see it in real life. 3-screen gaming is not bad gaming whatsoever. I mean, it's really good for racing, actually. Well, let's move on to the footage. Okay, so now you're hearing some of my own composed music. Yeah, I've just dropped off the map on the map, and I'm actually just racing to a different. Yeah, and you saw the screen move around a bit. You can look around. I'm just racing to a next point of interest where I can perform a race, and in a bit we'll reach that point, and I'll press the X and I'll just do a race, and you see a bit of that. Now the videos, the widescreen videos, which are actually ultimate for ultra wide screen, they just don't move in a full frame view, which is actually quite weird, zoomed out like that. But I guess it has to do with the fact that the game doesn't switch resolutions. But as you can see, yeah, it's a bit of an off-road track here, with you having to crash through gates and stuff. And what's actually quite interesting is the fact that it is in Australia, situated in Australia. We have to drive on the left-hand side of the road, which actually is quite good, because I still need to practice driving on the left in order to be able to safely drive in the UK and Australia for when we move over there for a visit and stuff. You really want to rent your car, but you don't want to crash into your opponents, the other drivers. Of course, driving on the road is not a race. Stay safe and just do this in video games or on racing tracks. But as you can see, the HUD is off to the complete left and right. Not all people will like that. I actually quite like it, but it also is quite difficult to spot what is coming up, what the position of the road is. So you can't really use the preview of the overhead map that much, because your eyes have to move to the left quite a bit. So The sense of speed is great. The sense of immersion using 3 screens is great, especially if you do the bezel corrected thing, which I did not, because then you have weird lines in the screen if I grab the screen like this. But yeah, and it's a great game. This is what I got Forza 3 Horizon for, because it's just an excellent 3 ultra wide screen gaming. And basically this is ultra wide, because most ultra wide gaming setups actually have twice the horizontal resolution and just once the vertical resolution of HD gaming. Now these monitors have a slightly less HD resolution, because they're 1050 progressive instead of 1080, but that's just the Dell 9x10, 19x10 or whatever resolution. So yeah, quite stoked. I'm very happy that this works, but I would love this game to also work on in my game room. But in the game room I have it working on the Xbox One. But for a bit I was certain it was going to be quite some time before I was able to enjoy my 3 screens on Forza Horizon 3. But it seems that it does want to run on one of my identical systems, and it just refuses to run on the other. Is it the amount of video memory that's different? Is it the 2 joystick controllers that have been hooked up? I'm not sure. Who knows? Mark signing off, and I'll be back with another video soon.